On today's show, our exclusive interview with Auburn quarterback TJ Finley as he discusses the ups and downs of his 2021 season on the Plains. Also, he'll discuss what he's looking forward to this spring as he enters a quarterback battle at Auburn. Also, tomorrow, part 2 of National Signing Day. We'll tell you what it means for the likes of Florida, LSU, and Texas A&M. And Auburn offensive coordinator Austin Davis steps down after just a couple of weeks on the job. We'll tell you why he said he is stepping away. Locked on SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is happening, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. Great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thank you for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Remember, Locked On SEC is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube and at LockedOnSEC.com. And a reminder, you follow us on Twitter. I'm at Chris Gordy, and the show is at Locked On SEC. Let's jump into it. Let's go around the conference.
Boots out to the right. Takes the handoff. What a catch!
Around the conference.
And we start over at Auburn as new Auburn offensive coordinator Austin Davis yesterday informed Auburn coaches and players that he intends to step down from his position and is not expected to return. That news came out early yesterday morning. He had a meeting with Brian Harsin on Monday, and reports said it was unlikely he would change his mind. Davis was the Seattle Seahawks quarterback coach, was hired earlier this offseason. He is stepping down and leaving the program. Of course, following the 2021 regular season, Brian Harsin fired offensive coordinator Mike Bobo after 1 year with the program. Bobo has since landed at Georgia as an analyst. But Austin Davis officially stepping down yesterday afternoon and issuing a statement saying, "The last week has been difficult for me as I've made the decision to step away from coaching football. Auburn and Coach Harsin have been tremendous through this whole process. I am grateful for the opportunity that was presented to me from a coaching standpoint, and equally as important, the way Coach Harsin has handled my current situation. My decision to resign is 100% based on personal reasons. After more than a decade in the NFL with a daily grind as a player and coach, I've realized how much I miss my family and my desire to spend more time with them." So this puts Brian Harsin in a very precarious situation. He will have to hire his third offensive coordinator in about 13 months after mentioned firing Mike Bobo after 1 year with the program. Man, not where you want to be if you're Auburn. And we will see what happens. We'll talk with TJ Finley coming up in just a little bit. Tomorrow is the second part of National Signing Day, and a number of guys will be making their announcements that expect to choose between several SEC schools. Here's a few things to watch for. For Texas A&M, a team that is already number one in the recruiting rankings is chasing history, trying to finish with the number one class, greatest class ever. The Aggies are aligned to sign the highest class in 24/7 sports history. They are in the mix for Harold Perkins still. He's the nation's number one linebacker who committed to the Aggies at the Under Armour game, but decommitted a week ago. They are also the crystal ball leader for a top 10 prospect in Shamar Stewart, who also has Georgia on his radar. He's the number 9 overall prospect and a player that could make the already elite defensive line class Jimbo Fisher is bringing into College Station even more special. They're also in the final 3 for 4-star safety Jacoby Matthews, who's a top 100 prospect from the state of Louisiana. He's deciding between the Aggies, LSU, and Florida. Now, as for LSU, they too are waiting with bated breath to see what Matthews will do. LSU did host Harold Perkins this past weekend for an official visit. They would absolutely love to rip him out of the state of Texas. Also, 4-star running back and former LSU commit Trevante Citizen opened things up after Kelly's arrival. Some people thinking Auburn could come in and grab Trevante Citizen, so that is one to keep an eye on. And also Florida, Billy Napier is having a pretty good start to his time. He grabbed 4-star running back Trevor Etienne at the All-American Bowl. Gators are in play for Harold Perkins still. They are one of the final 3 for Matthews, as we said. Citizen, another Louisiana prospect, has the Gators in his final 4. 4-star defensive lineman Caden Story took an official visit to Florida this weekend. as the Gators are going head-to-head with Clemson for his services. And they also get the last crack at Georgia running back commit James, the same Tennessee native whom Oregon is trying to lure its way. So those are just some of the names to keep an eye on tomorrow, some of the big names that still could change the landscape of these SEC signing classes. Now, another recruiting news on Monday, the Tennessee Vols, they added a 3-star athlete to the mix. Latest commitment for Josh Heupel and the Vols is Derek Taylor, a native of Tennessee. Took to Twitter Monday evening to announce his commitment. He will likely join the team as a preferred walk-on. He's the number 134 athlete in the class of 2022. Meanwhile, Mississippi State, they've had some struggles in their kicking game. On Monday, they added a commitment from a kicker out of Tennessee, Hudson Hollenbeck. He took to Twitter to announce his commitment to Mike Leach's program. According to Cole's kicking website, he is a 4.5-star kicker and a 5-star punter. He's rated the number 7 overall punter in the class of 2022. Alabama, they put together a really good class so far for 2022, but they're going to do so without one of the guys who originally committed to them. 4-star D lineman Walter Bobb will not sign with the Tide on Wednesday. According to social media, Bobb will reportedly enroll at Hutchinson Community College in Kansas instead. Spent a couple of years in the JUCO ranks before he heads to Tuscaloosa. Meanwhile, Ole Miss, they've added a number of key players to the transfer portal, including Jackson Dart, their quarterback. Just a couple days ago, the Rebels currently have the top-rated group of transfer portal commitments, jumping LSU this past week. And now they're adding another one. Georgia Tech D lineman Jared Ivey committed to the Ole Miss program. He played in 11 games last year, recording 32 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. He was a 4-star defensive end in the class of 2020. So that's a nice pickup for Lane Kiffin and the Rebs. Meanwhile, over at South Carolina, Ortre Smith, the wide receiver, he has decided to move on from Columbia and will play elsewhere. According to a report on Monday, he is enrolled at North Carolina Central to get his master's degree in kinesiology. He recorded 43 catches, 435 yards, and 4 touchdowns in his career at South Carolina. Meanwhile, some coaching changes over in Starkville. On Monday, Mississippi State announced they've added an inside receivers coach. Here's what the changes will be. Drew Hollingshead will be the new inside wide receivers coach. He has a decade's worth of experience running the air raid offense. Meanwhile, Matt Brock will coach linebackers. Zach Arnett, the defense coordinator, will coach safeties. Jason Washington will coach running backs. In addition, outside receivers coach Steve Spurrier Jr. He will add passing game coordinator to his duties. And there you have it. That is the latest around the conference. When we return, we're going to talk with Auburn quarterback TJ Finley. And just a quick note, we recorded this interview right before all the Austin Davis news came out. So you'll hear towards the end of the interview, I asked TJ Finley, what's it been like so far with Austin Davis taking over as the offensive coordinator? And he spoke glowingly about him. But as we know now, that's not happening. Auburn will have a new OC, but enjoy the conversation with TJ Finley. That is coming your way next. Thank you guys again for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. And of course, there might be less football being played now, but BetOnline.net has way more odds and info for this playoff season, from scores, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land. BetOnline is the number one spot for all things NFL betting in 2022. It's not just football. BetOnline.net's basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC odds coverage is the best in the business, from sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games. BetOnline is your number one online wagering destination. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. Check them out right now. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. Rolling along here, Locked On SEC, and we've been catching up with a lot of guys from across the conference, especially some guys who are coming back next year in the SEC. And one guy who we're expecting big things out of in 2022 is a guy who started his college career at LSU and then transferred over to Auburn, got to play a good bit this past season. He is quarterback TJ Finley, and he joins us now. TJ, what's going on, man?
Not much. Thank you for having me on. It's an honor.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Talk a little bit about what this past season was like for you, because I know, the situation at LSU, we know how that all unfolded, and you were looking for an opportunity to go somewhere and earn the job, and you went to Auburn, where Bo Nix was the guy, and eventually the circumstances worked out where you were able to get in there and start a handful of games and do what you could do. But take us through how this last year was for you overall.
Yeah, so overall, it was more of a mental battle than a physical battle, just because I didn't play the full season. So it was a great opportunity for me to get in there and learn from a veteran guy, a guy that has won, freshman of the year in the SEC, that had a successful season his freshman year and played well his sophomore year as well. So, it was a great opportunity for me to go in and learn, under him, get my feet wet a little more. Although that I played, 5 games in SEC my freshman year, it was good to just, sit back and just watch him work and follow his lead and things of that nature and take bits and pieces from him to add to my game, which I am still doing, to this day or whatever. But this season was a lot of ups and downs. We started out good, kind of fast rolling and stuff like that. And then SEC play came and we kind of took a step back offensively. Our defense was the reason why we stayed in so many games. But, it was a lot of ups and downs, but a lot of lessons learned from this past season. And we're going to take that and roll into this offseason and work our butts off and get that fixed.
Take me back to the Georgia State game, because I know, look, the offense was kind of stymied that day, and then it was almost like when you came in, it was a little bit of a spark, and it was the right spark. It was enough to jumpstart you guys and take the lead and win the game. Obviously, the next game after that the next week, y'all went to Baton Rouge and played at LSU. Did you feel like after that game you did enough and thought maybe mentally I'm going to be the starter, or did you kind of feel like they were going to go back to Bo that week?
Yeah, of course, being a competitor, I thought I had did enough and I had, proven myself to be the starter, in that game. But, the coaches had a better plan. And I think that plan was a very good plan. Bo just had an off week, so it wasn't and the good thing about it is that's what I like. I like to see that, because if I was Bo and if I was in Bo's situation, I wouldn't want to be benched the rest of the season because of one game. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah.
The fact that the coaches trusted him enough to give him the start the next week was a positive, not only for Bo, but for, any starting quarterback that we would have had. So, if I like I said, if I was a guy, I wouldn't want to be benched the rest of the season off of one game. But yeah, when I got in the game, it was kind of a spark that, we just started clicking and it was a good thing that I was dialed in the week before during practice and things of that nature. So if I went in the game, I would know what I was doing.
I'm not a coach by any means, TJ, so take my opinion with whatever you want. But I watched all your games at LSU, and then I watched your games this year at Auburn. You didn't look as crisp as you did at LSU. And maybe it was just you played as a true freshman and maybe you just didn't know any better at LSU. But was it maybe just you not being the starter for the beginning of the year and then being thrown into the mix after Bo got hurt? And then it was you. What was it where maybe you weren't as crisp? Just, sometimes balls weren't as accurate, whatever it was. What in your mind was it where you weren't as good as you probably expectations were for yourself this year?
Yeah, I think it's just chemistry with the guys. Bo did an amazing job in the offseason getting the guys together and throwing the things of that nature. So I kind of was always throwing to the backup guys all year and all offseason. And so when it was time for me to step up and throw to the starters in the middle of the season, I had never thrown to them guys. So my timing was kind of off. And when I was at LSU, I had time because, before my first start at LSU, we had an off week because of COVID. Florida, we were supposed to play Florida week 4, and then Florida had a bad case of COVID, which gave us another week to prepare for South Carolina. So, I used that week, and we used that entire week to get reps with the guys, with the starters and things like that. I never got that time with Auburn. And another thing is the change in system.
Yeah.
I had to adapt to a whole different system. At LSU, I was more of a spread, and here we're more of a pro style, under center, play action type of thing. So just the change in system, and people don't realize I'm still only 19 years old.
Right.
So having to adapt to, now my third different offensive coordinator in 3 years, that takes a toll on quarterbacks' development. When you go around and you look at the guys that has developed over time, they've had the same offensive coordinator for two or more years. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think consistency in that department would be a big help. But like I said, I'm going to take this off season and get better at what I know I can get better at. And this year it should be fun, so I have a whole off season to get good timing with the guys and good chemistry and get to know everybody as a person as well.
Quick minute to remind you about our friends at Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing number of makes and models, it's impossible for your local auto parts chain store to stock all the parts that you need. Why would you endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning like, is your Odyssey an LX or an EX? While you wait, while the person behind the counter, they type it in on their computer. They're looking through their warehouse to see what they got. Look, save time and money when you use Rock Auto. You will save 30%, 50%, sometimes even 100% less on the same parts from a chain store or car dealership. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Their prices are reliably low for every customer. They got everything you could need, from brake parts to tail lamps to motor oil, even new carpet. Go check out their easy-to-use website today. You can find the solution to your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now. See all the parts available for your car or truck. Make sure you're right locked on in their How Did You Hear About Us box so that they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com. Continue our conversation with Auburn quarterback TJ Finley. And TJ, just one more question on last year, and then we'll look ahead. Man, losses sting, losses hurt, but those last 3 losses you guys had, you get out to the big lead on South Carolina, you lose that one. The Iron Bowl, we all know how that one played out. And then the Birmingham loss where Houston scores in the final minute or so and they win the Birmingham Bowl. How do you overcome losses like that? I mean, I know you got to just turn the page and move on to the next one, but those 3 losses, man, they were all right there. You guys were right there. You knew you were in the game, but it just feels like those hurt a little bit more because you knew you had a chance to win those games and y'all weren't able to.
Yeah, you just have to look forward. You if you let the past determine your future will end up just like your past. So I live by that, and what happens in the past, I like to keep in the past and take bits and pieces from it and grow from it. So, we had a lot of things going on within our team. We had guys opting out the bowl game, and we had situations where guys were, on the fence of getting kicked off the team because of certain things and stuff like that. So we had a lot of obstacles we had to overcome, during that whole preparation of the bowl game, which I think really we lost focus on the game. So, but stuff like that, as a team, you just have to learn how to get over and come together as a team and get the job done. And I think the way Coach Harsin is implementing stuff within the team now, we'll be able to do that next year.
Your overall impression of Coach Harsin, what did you learn from him? What did you like about him in year one? And then also, have you had any conversations yet with Austin Davis, your new offensive coordinator? And what are you looking forward to most about getting to work with him?
Yeah, so I know he was around Russell Wilson, a lot in the league and coached him for 2 to 3 years. Talking about Coach AD, I call him AD, Coach Austin. But he's a very experienced guy. He knows what he's talking about. And then Coach Harsin, he's a very positive guy, very influential guy, always says the right things, very hard worker, which sets the example for the team. And the quarterback on the field is the extension of the head coach. Unless the head coach is a defensive guy, then he's an extension of the offensive coordinator. But in our case, Coach Harsin is an offensive guy. So basically, the quarterback is just the extension of the head coach. And so I try to model what I do and how I am around the team based on Coach Harsin's actions, while implementing my own personal, things that I'm good at within the team. But everybody is working together to be the best we all can be for Auburn.
I know you don't back down from a challenge, and certainly there's been some news this offseason, some movement in your quarterback room. You guys lose Bo Nix. He's off to the West Coast. He's transferring out to Oregon, but a couple of guys coming in this offseason. Zach Calzada, the big one from Texas A&M, who obviously, highlighted his year last year was beating Alabama with the Aggies. And then also Robbie Ashford coming in from Oregon. He's also coming in. So you combine that with Garner, who's coming in as a recruit, and then Demetrius Davis, who was there last year. It appears to be a little bit of a crowded quarterback room. What are your general thoughts going into spring? I mean, is it may the best man win? Are you feeling confident like you have the upper hand because you were the starter to finish the year? Just kind of where are you mentally going into a crowded, quarterback room in the spring?
Yeah, it's going to be competition everywhere, and competition brings the best out of everybody, and that's what a lot of people don't understand outside of football, even in the work area. You might have a boss that might bring, like say you're in the accounting business, you might have a boss that brings in another accountant just as good as you, just to push you and make you better. You should want that. You know what I'm saying? And that's just that's how I approach the football business. A guy can be just as good as you or even better than you, but the guy that has the best day each day consistently is going to have the job. And him bringing in these guys and us bringing in these guys is only going to make me better, not only as a football player, but as a person. You get to know different guys, you get to meet different guys and get their story and know them as people, meet their families and things like that. So, it's more about, for me, just making sure I stay on my P's and Q's. And yes, I do feel like I have the upper hand, not only because I've been here the longest, but, I know the system like I know the back of my hand, so I know this team. I know what everybody's good at. I know their strengths and weaknesses and things of that nature. But it's all about going in every day, proving a point and just working my behind off. And like I said earlier, just, getting the job done day in and day out.
The transfer portal has been crazy. I mean, just with all the movement, but it also works out to your benefit. I mean, you guys do get to add some pieces, some weapons to your team, but man, it feels like none was more important than keeping a guy from going in the transfer portal, and that was keeping Tank Bigsby there. Just what did you enjoy most about watching him this past season? And does it feel like, I mean, there's even more in that tank with him that he hasn't shown everything he can do yet as a running back in the SEC?
Yeah, absolutely. There's more in store for Tank, and I think the offense that we have going in will really exploit that for him. And I'm happy for him that we'll be able to do that for him because he's a very powerful, experienced back, and I think he'll be able to do a lot of things, outside of the run game, especially in the passing game. I think he can help us in the passing game as well.
You got any NIL deals yet?
Yes, but I like to keep those under wraps.
Okay.
I don't like a lot of people counting my money for me. You know how that works.
Yeah, I got you. TJ, it was great to talk with you, man. Been following you a long time. Saw you play in high school, and the minute I saw you, I was like, that kid's got a big arm, big body. That guy's gonna be a big time quarterback in college. And you said it, man. You're only 19. I mean, you still got so many years ahead of you, and can't wait to see how your career plays out. And man, I wish you the best of luck. And thanks so much for hopping on with us. All right.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. That's TJ Finley, Auburn quarterback, jumping on with us here on Locked On SEC. Certainly appreciate him joining us. And again, wish him the best of luck. All right. That is going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. My thanks again to TJ Finley. Great insight from him, the Auburn quarterback. We'll see if he wins that starting job out of the spring. I'm Chris Gordy. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Now go make your second listen. Check out the Locked On Bets podcast with your boy Q and Lee Sterling. Great stuff, giving you all the picks that you need for all your betting needs. I'm Chris Gordy. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow right here on Locked On SEC. Have a great day, everybody.